Hey, my loves, welcome to another episode of In Her Own Voice. I am Queen Visionary. I will be the one you hear behind the mic, but at the same time, I'm always standing on the front line, ready to inspire and empower those who struggle to lift their voices. I created this space to be a mix of everything that feeds the soul and to breathe in what matters. So get comfortable with me, take a breath with me, because this is where silence breaks, truth blooms, and every word is spoken boldly. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you for listening. Today, we are diving in to answer some of these emails that have been sent into the In Her Own Voice email, something I have deemed the V mail. Now, full disclosure, I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a life coach, but rather a person who has some life experience and can only give my opinion in love, faith, and for the sake of empowerment. So, with that being said, let's get into these emails. So, the first one says, Queen V, I used to think I was unlovable after everything I've been through, but I'm finally in a relationship where I feel safe, seen, and respected. He asked me to marry him, but I haven't answered him yet because it almost feels too good to be true. How do I stop sabotaging because I'm not used to it? I cannot lose my man. Girl, don't lose your man. I hear you. So, I think what you're feeling is actually really normal. When you've been through a lot emotionally, and then suddenly you find yourself in something steady and good, right? You're not necessarily sabotaging because something is wrong. I think you're reacting because something finally feels different. And different can feel unsafe too when your past has taught you to expect disappointment. So, I think first things first, don't rush yourself into saying yes just to silence the fear and satisfy others' expectations. A decision to get married, it doesn't need to be made, it should not be made from panic, from pressure, or the I might lose him if I don't decide right now state, right? A healthy relationship can definitely hold space for you to just stop and think for a second. um, what you're actually dealing with isn't proof that this relationship is wrong. When you're used to chaos or inconsistency, calm can also feel suspicious, right, at first. But instead of spiraling or pulling away, try to face it in real time. So tell yourself, I'm scared because this feels too good, right? It feels too good to be true, not because something is actually wrong. Take a look at what's actually happening, not afraid of what um, in your brain is happening or what you're afraid might happen. You ask yourself, is he consistent? Ask yourself, does he respect you? Do you feel safe with him over time and not just when the day is right or when the moment is right? Do you feel safe with him even in the highs and the lows? And then also make sure you talk to him. Don't disappear into your own thoughts. Something as simple um, as, babe, I care about you, I love you, I'm just taking my time with this because it's a big step for me. That is an honest, healthy statement to make to him. And then most importantly, don't make him pay for what someone else did to you in the past. That's where sabotage usually sneaks in, when we start reacting to our past instead of our present. You don't have to rush into marriage. You shouldn't, again, you should not rush into marriage, but you also don't have to run from something good just because it feels unfamiliar. Give yourself time to adjust to the idea. Um, give yourself the belief. Tell yourself this actually might be safe. Okay, so I hope that helped. Thanks for writing in. Um, I have another one. Queen V, I have family members who are toxic. Mm. They gossip, they disrespect boundaries, they stir up drama, and every interaction with them leaves me drained or upset. They've talked about me to each other and about each other to me. Wow. They've talked about me to each other and about each other to me. Jesus. Am I obligated to keep toxic relatives in my life because we're related? Do I have to stay close to them even though they consistently cause stress and emotional harm? Or is it okay to set boundaries and pull away? Loyalty means a lot to me and I don't want to go against it. No, ma'am, you are not obligated to keep toxic relatives closely involved in your life just because you're related. Family ties can be important, but being family doesn't give someone a free pass to repeatedly disrespect you, ignore your boundaries, create unnecessary stress and drama. Okay. If every interaction leaves you feeling drained and upset and emotionally exhausted, it is understandable to question how much access those people should have in your life. And you should then act on it. Setting boundaries with family is absolutely not selfish, it is a way of protecting your well being. Now, depending on the situation, that might mean spending less time with certain relatives, keeping conversations more shallow, more surface level, um, refusing to engage in the gossip, in the arguments, or just taking a step back from the relationship altogether. And listen, loyalty goes both ways. Their behavior does not represent loyalty. Okay, based on what you're describing, it does not represent loyalty because they're consistently having negative things to say about you and each other. So do with that thought what you will. Okay. Um, but many people feel guilty about creating distance from family members. I have before, but understand that being related to someone doesn't mean you have to tolerate any behavior that consistently harms your peace and your peace of mind. Healthy relationships are built on respect. They're built on trust. They're built on mutual consideration, and not just obligation. A good question to ask yourself is, if this person weren't a relative, would I choose to have them this involved in my life? If the answer is no, that may be a sign, and it may tell you something important about the healthiness of the relationship. Now, you can still care about your family while recognizing that some people are healthier to love from a distance, which is very true. Um, the goal is not to punish anyone. It's to, excuse me, y'all, it's to protect your mental and emotional well being. And it's to create a space for healthier relationships in your life. So take that and use it and apply it wherever you need to apply it. And thank you so much for writing in. Okay. Queen V. I have a friend I love to death, but I'm starting to notice a pattern. Every situation she's involved in, drama seems to be there. Friendships, work, relationships, there's even some family tension. She's always she always tells her vantage point like she's the victim, from the outside looking in, it feels like she might be the common denominator in a lot of it. Oh. I don't want to judge her or make her feel bad, but I also feel like real friendship sometimes means having hard conversations when you see someone repeating the same mistakes. How can I talk to my friend about this with compassion and in a constructive tone? Is there a respectful way to help her without making her feel attacked or causing damage to our friendship? You don't you don't have to tell your friend she's the problem directly. That's probably the quickest way to make her feel attacked, which will then, yes, result in her shutting down the conversation and ultimately the friendship. If you decide to say something, if you decide to say something, I think you should focus on the pattern you've noticed rather than trying to convince her she's at fault. So you can offer her an honest perspective without placing blame on her, if that makes sense. So, like, gently point out a lot of the conflicts she talks about. Um, point out that A lot of them seem to have similar patterns. And then ask her if she's ever thought about her role in those situations. Questions are usually less pushy and less aggressive than a statement. So instead of saying, you are the cause of all this drama, you're the problem, you're the toxic one, try asking things like, so why do you think this keeps happening? Or ask her, so do you see any common denominators in these situations? That then will give her space to reflect without feeling judged. Also, though, remember that you only know the story from her perspective. There might be details you don't know. So, approaching the conversation with curiosity rather than certainty, that's what's important. Um at the end of the day, being a good friend doesn't mean agreeing with everyone with everyone and everything they say, right? It could mean offering a perspective they might not have considered. But you're offering it in love. Just remember that. But just be prepared for the possibility that she may not be ready to hear even that. You can plant a seed, but you can't force someone to see themselves differently at all. At the end of the day, just be sure your motivation as her friend, as somebody who loves her and cares for her deeply, is genuine, and it's not something, you're not angling it to bash her or to prove a point. Okay. Thank you so much for writing in. You guys are going through some things. Oh goodness. I can relate though to some of these. Um, Queen V, first, before I say anything, let me say that my husband is a good man. Uh-oh. He's not disrespectful. He provides, he's consistent, and he hasn't done anything big as in quotes, to justify walking away. But I feel emotionally checked out. Ooh, I don't feel excitement, closeness, or that emotional connection we used to have. I still love and care about him in a deep way. I'm just not in love anymore. Wow. I find myself going through the motions and feeling more like a roommate than a wife. I've tried to ignore it, pray through it, and push past it, but the feeling keeps coming back. Wow, I'm starting to feel like Solange in her song. Jesus. Ugh, at what point do you stop trying to fix it and accept that maybe it's over? Or is this something you're supposed to work through, even when your heart feels like it's already halfway gone? Should I stay and rebuild, or is it time to go? Wow. Um, Honestly, this is one of those situations where there really isn't a simple answer, because a lack of connection doesn't necessarily mean the marriage is over. Um, a lot of people assume that being in love is something that's either on or off, but relationships, especially long-term relationships, they constantly go through seasons where feelings strengthen and weaken. So eh, you describe your husband as a good man and you still love and care about him. So it sounds like the problem isn't that you dislike him or that he's mistreating you, because that's easy, right? If he was a bad person, if you didn't care, then this would be easy. But it's more like you feel disconnected. Those are two very different things. So before you decide whether it's time to leave, I'd ask yourself, well, you should ask yourself a few questions. Have you been completely honest with him about how you're feeling? Like, have you actually sat and told him how you feel? And if so, have the two of you actively tried to reconnect, whether it's through counseling or more quality time, intentionally spent together, deeper conversations, changing the pattern of what's going on that may have led to the distance? Or have you mostly been carrying these feelings by yourself and hoping they'll just go away? Because that doesn't help. If you haven't really fought for the marriage together yet, it probably is too soon to say it's over. Now, at the same time, you shouldn't ignore your feelings necessarily. You shouldn't ignore them either. If you've spent a long time trying to communicate, you've sought help, you've genuinely invested in rebuilding the connection, and you still feel emotionally absent, like with zero desire to move toward him, then at that point, then that's something, worth taking seriously. Your feelings matter, but they can definitely change. So what matters just as much um, is whether there's still willingness on you and his side to reconnect and to build. So I don't think the question is, am I still in love? But do I still want to try? Because if the answer is yes to that question, then there's definitely hope. If the answer has been no to that question for a very long time for you, despite the genuine effort and the genuine honesty, then it may be time to have, some difficult conversations about what comes next with your husband. But either way, I wouldn't make the decision quietly in your own head. Your husband definitely deserves to know where you are emotionally before you decide where the marriage goes from here. Okay. I am wishing you all the best. And I hope that things end the way they need to end in a healthy state. Thank you so much for writing in. Um, Queen V, I am at a crossroads and I can't tell the difference between obedience and fear. Things are unclear, and a part of me wonders if God is closing a door or trying to redirect me somewhere better. I don't want to walk away from something I'm supposed to persevere through, but I also don't want to keep forcing a path that God may be asking me to leave behind. How do you tell the difference between divine redirection and personal exhaustion? Oh, it's crazy because this question hits home so deep for me. Um, yeah, it hits home so deep for me. In the moment, divine redirection and personal exhaustion can feel almost identical. Both can leave you feeling stuck and uncertain and unable to move forward in confidence. Exhaustion Exhaustion tends to make everything feel like impossible. When you're burned out, even the right path still feels heavy. You might want to quit. You want to quit because you're depleted and you don't have the energy to keep going. But divine redirection, on the other hand, that comes with a different kind of tension. It may still feel difficult, but there's usually like a hovering feeling that you're forcing something that no longer fits, if that makes sense. You keep trying to make this specific plan work, but like deep inside you feel void of peace when you're continuing to pursue it, and then you feel at peace at even the thought of releasing it. Even though if the thought of releasing it is scary, you still feel peaceful at the thought. That's the difference. Um Closed doors aren't always signs that you're on the wrong path, though. Obstacles are just part of your journey, and they're pretty certain. Like with every journey you're going to have obstacles, right? Many people in the Bible encountered strife while still walking in the direction they believe God had called them to go. Difficulty alone isn't proof that God is saying no. Ask yourself, if fear weren't a factor, what would I feel drawn to do? Are you sensing an urgency or a consistent nudge towards a different direction? Does stepping away bring clarity and peace, or just temporary relief from that stress? Because discernment isn't usually a process of prayer, reflection, wise counsel, and tuning into what moves you. It's usually, I'm sorry, discernment is usually a process of prayer, reflection, wise counsel, and tuning into what moves you. You you may not get a clear sign telling you exactly what to do. Sometimes the next step becomes clear only after you've taken that one that's right in front of you. Clarity usually comes more gradually than we want, but it does come. Just remember that it does come. It may not come. You know what they say? He may not come when you want him, but he's right on time. I would just say remain open to God's plan, though. Just remain open to God's plan because in time, things will become sure because that's who God is. He doesn't fail and he doesn't lie. Good luck with that crossroad, girl. Thank you for writing in. Um, Last one, guys. Last one. Whew. Um, I'm tired. Queen V, I'm tired emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Oh gosh. I'm carrying a lot of weight and it feels like I've been running on empty. Things that used to make me happy don't hit the same anymore. People keep telling me to be grateful, but I don't know how to. Sometimes it even makes me feel guilty as if I should be able to appreciate my blessings more than I do. How do you find moments of joy, hope, or meaning when you're overwhelmed, burned out, or just tired of carrying so much? Baby, listen. And this, ooh, listen, I feel every part of this question. I have been in this very space and not too long ago, not too long ago. It's been recent. Caring a lot for a long time can erase joy, not because you're ungrateful, but because you're exhausted. If you're all around drained, you don't need a lesson in appreciation. You may need rest. You may need some support, some healing, or really just some space to acknowledge that you're struggling. Um, I've learned that joy and gratitude aren't always big feelings, right? During difficult seasons for me, they showed up in smaller ways. They showed up through a good conversation, taking a moment, a quiet moment to myself, playing songs that touched me, taking a walk, seeking out a space where the weight doesn't feel quite as heavy. And you know what else I learned? Sometimes joy starts as relief before it can even become happiness. Like there are literal levels to this thing. So stop putting pressure on yourself to feel grateful all the time. Gratitude isn't pretending everything is kosher. Sometimes it is simply acknowledging that, baby, I made it through another day, even if that day itself was hard, but you made it. Um, when we're burned out, the answer isn't to push harder or to force positivity. It's learning to pay attention to what your mind, your body, and spirit have been trying to tell you. If you're feeling overstimulated and burnt out, ask yourself, what am I carrying that was never mine to carry alone or at all? Um, Being hyper focused on enduring makes us forget that we're allowed to ask for help. We're allowed to set boundaries. We're allowed to put some of this weight down. Don't attempt to manufacture joy or convince yourself that everything is okay. Start small. Look for those tiny moments of light instead of trying to feel an overwhelming happiness. And do that until there's not so much darkness around you anymore, until you notice that the darkness is fading. Um, it may be worth talking with someone you trust as well, a friend, a spiritual leader, a counselor, or a mental health professional. Give yourself permission to heal and permission to restore with healthy progression because that's how joy begins to find its way back. I will be definitely praying for you, definitely praying for you. And I pray that God balances out your emotions in Jesus' name. Thank you for writing in. Whew, sheesh. Y'all made me dig a little bit, ain't it? Oh my God. I appreciate all of you for trusting me to give encouragement, to give advice and friendly counsel. I pray my words contribute to the solutions you seek. And please, please, please send me updates and good reports, because I know God is going to bring y'all through these things. I know He will. I've seen Him do it for others, I've seen Him do it for me. So I believe in it for you. Thank you so much for listening, you all. I upload episodes every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on the channel. But if you'd like to share your story with me, you have a topic you want to discuss, you need advice like these ones here, or prayer, or you just want to vent, please email me at 320eent at gmail. That's the numbers 320 at eent at gmail.com. I would love to continue to hear from you. If you like what you've been hearing and you need more of it, please follow me. It really helps more people find the channel. Also, click that like button for this episode and all the episodes. It improves my podcast visibility, so which can bring in new listeners. So your listens and your likes allow others to see what the show is about, and if it's worth the investment to listen and follow. Lastly, please share the episodes with someone who may be able to benefit from them. I am so grateful for you all. Remember, your fears don't define you, your doubts don't control you, and your dreams are waiting for you. Until next time, keep speaking in your own voice.